24th, 2017. Could I have an opening statement and roll call, please?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 5, 2017, by the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News, Asbury Park Press, and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 5, 2017, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 5, 2017. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. The locations are as follows. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for a possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Also, no food or beverage is permitted in this room. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Present.
Mr. Walsh.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here.
Mayor Berger.
Present.
Need to go into executive
Mr.
session.
Mr. Mayfield, do you have any reason to go into executive session?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have personnel reference labor counsel pending litigation in the cases of Bonovich versus the Township of Howell, and also in the matter of Township of Howell, and also contract negotiations regarding the PBA.
I'll
Make a
read
motion
the-
to go into executive?
No, no, go ahead. I'll take your motions.
Second.
Okay. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12, whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items previously listed, and upon reconvening this public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstance under which a discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Walsh.
Here and yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes.
Very good.
We'll convene an hour?
We'll-
An hour and a half.
Roll
About
call.
an hour and a half, I think.
An hour and a half.
We'll convene around 7:30.
Where's the matter with this chair?
The executive session minutes from tonight's meeting can be disclosed to the public when the need for the confidentiality no longer exists. I would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I have acceptance for the minutes of the previous meetings? Do you have a motion?
Any separate, anybody need
We
separate?
need to
Well,
change
yeah.
it, don't we?
Yes, for the January 3rd, on the first page, Mr. Walsh nominated Mr. Nacastro as deputy mayor, and I seconded, not the other way around.
No, she's saying something like I think I looked at Bobby maybe.
I don't believe I did that. I must have been on medication.
Okay,
Move it.
so with that correction,
I'll make the motion.
this is for the January 3rd minutes.
I'll
Second.
second.
Oh, boy.
Two people can't vote for the
Yeah, you know
December
what?
12th minutes, so
Okay.
Aren't we working on January 3rd?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
But-
Pauline, what was the correction again? Who made the first motion?
Bobby did. Bobby nominated
Nominated.
Mr.
Pauline, second.
Nacastro.
Okay, we're ready for a roll call. Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes, on January 3rd.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes,
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes.
If there are no questions or comments on December 12th, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Absent?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes?
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
I'll abstain.
Why?
She wasn't here.
Don't-
Evelyn.
Do we have any reports from the township officials?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Nothing
Penny-
for me tonight, Mayor.
I have nothing for the governing body this evening.
Thank you.
If I can just put onto the record changes that have been made on the agenda from the preliminary to the final agenda include remove resolution 9A25, R17-59, that's the 2016 capital program number 1, mill and overlay. Additional resolution 9A35, R17-69, payment plan sewer utility customer Shelley Kaplan, 205 East Florence Circle. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a proclamation for Howell Township School Choice Week for January 22nd to the 28th. Who would like to read the proclamation?
If you would like me to read it, Mayor, where is it?
Please.
Do you have a copy of it?
There should be a copy in your book. There usually is. I didn't notice.
Where is it, Penny?
It is, it's under item number 5 in your agenda book. So it's one of the first few pages. It's definitely under,
Councilman Walsh has it in his book, too.
Not me.
stop. Thank you.
Sorry.
McKenna.
Not me, people.
It's got to be page, the first page.
I don't have it either.
Not me. I didn't do it.
It's item number 6.
You didn't know, Penny.
I have it if you want me to read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not there.
See, Miss Money Penny throwing you for a loop.
Whereas all children in Howell Township should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Howell Township recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students into be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Howell Township. Whereas Howell Township is home to a variety of high-quality public and non-public schools, from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in their home. Whereas education variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And whereas Howell Township has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of schools settings who are committed to educating our children. And whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now therefore, Mayor Teresa Berger of Howell Township does hereby recognize January 22nd through the 28th, 2017 as Howell Township School Choice Week, and call this observance to the attention of all citizens. Dated January 24, 2017.
Thank you very much. The first on the agenda, do we have any discussion?
Reports
Ask the
from-
council
Anybody
if they have
reports? I have nothing.
anything. Ask the council if they have anything.
Does the council have anything to report this evening?
I have a discussion item.
Were you on the discussion item on the agenda?
No,
Or are we doing reports of officials for the council members?
yes.
Thank you.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Then I have nothing. I have to wait to discussion.
I do. We had a meeting with the CFO about the finances. The mayor was with me, manager, CFO, and deputy CFO. We're trying to get things ready. I know they've been working on the budget now for 6 months. One of the things that we went over, which I think we need to implement as soon as possible, is there was excess surplus from the sewer utility last year, I'd like us to implement, we talked about it last year, cutting the sewer bill another $20 a quarter.
Great.
And there was plenty of money, correct, Lou? To cut $20 a quarter. We can't cut the first quarter because it's too late, the bills went out. But if we cut $20 a quarter, that'll be $60 from the year, for the year from the sewer users.
Can we do that retroactive? Is that legal?
Yeah, we would have to do it for the next billing cycle, but it would, I mean, it would be my preference to drop the rate and have it be uniform throughout the year. I'm planning all of my budgeting for this year based on only having the 3 quarters at the reduced rate.
But there's extra surplus in the sewer utility too, so Councilwoman Smith, if you wanted to lower $25 a quarter, it could probably, there's still plenty of money coming in from the sewer.
Well, if there's that much, that makes sense. Why
Well,
not?
last year I wanted to cut it 35, and I kind of got shot down. We only cut it 15 a quarter. I mean, whatever the governing body's comfortable with. I mean, we went through the numbers. I mean, they are what they are. We could always change it in December if we end up having a shortfall that's unanticipated, and we can lower it in December for the first quarter of next year. Is that correct, Lou?
Well, since we're not doing it 4 quarters, only 3 quarters, making it 25 would even that out a little bit more.
But then we'd have to relook at the numbers. Remember, we have to look at the numbers in order to change it if we wanted to change it by the first quarter of next year.
Correct. We would have to see where everything was, and,
Well, then we'd better be,
we would have to have the ordinance adopted and, legitimized by the 1st of December, so when the utility collector prints out the bills, she prints out the, decreased rate, so.
I
we would
guess we
actually
better
have to-
stick to 20 then.
So we better stick to 20, because we would have to do that in October in order to be ready for December 1st, correct?
That is correct.
And we won't have the third quarter numbers even by then.
That is correct.
Okay, so yeah, I would suggest we stick to 20 and see where we are.
Right.
We'll have a better feel then. We'll, through the year, maybe we can lower it again, beginning of next year. You
I
were in the
agree.
meeting with
I
me, you
agree.
agree, correct?
Absolutely.
Other than that, I thought it was a nice meeting. We had a pretty good year last year. We're on pace for some issues coming up that we know we're gonna have to deal with. We'll discuss them during budget time. But, I think the manager and the CFO, they've done a good job of preparing us for what's coming down the pike, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Good.
That's it from me, Mayor.
Thank you. Can we go to the first item, 7.1, the Alliance Coordinator position? The Township Council is to discuss its position about the coordinator. Would you like to open up the discussion?
You're supposed to discuss it first.
Let's open.
Do you want to open up the discussion, or
Who?
anybody?
You the mayor?
Okay, so we had a conversation about this position. Currently, the position is being held with a temporary person right now. So we met in executive to talk about the amount of hours and the salary for this position. We agreed around the table that we would like the position to be a 29-hour position with a salary of $30,000 for the year. Is that what we discussed? Do you agree?
That's correct.
You need to put your thoughts out there, we'll put our thoughts out there, and then the public will discuss it with us, and we'll come up with a decision on what we decide to do.
Okay, so those were my thoughts.
Personally, I'm not against trying, I've spoken to a lot of other towns that have a part-time coordinator, and, I think we should try it. We're gonna have to look for many ways to cut costs. Coming around the corner is gonna be the next recession. If this is a recovery, I think the next recession is gonna bite us all pretty bad. And, we spend a lot of money on an alliance coordinator, and I'm not saying it isn't well-spent money. But I can't help but believe there's not a lot of qualified people that would like a part-time position like this that could be very advantageous to our alliance and to our township. So if it doesn't work, I'd be for switching it over to a full-time position again next year. But in speaking to other towns, our coordinator last year cost us over $100,000 a year with everything in. Is that correct, Mr. Mayfield? Is that number pretty accurate?
Close to that, very close to that.
Okay? I mean, that's a lot of money. One thing I think the people of Howell Township say all the time is, how are you gonna cut costs? And how are you gonna make government smaller and more effective? And if other towns are doing this with part-time coordinators, I think we should give it a try and see where it goes from there.
I
That's
agree. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
That's just my opinion.
I was thinking the same thing, that it's worth a try, and if it doesn't work out, next year we'll go to a full-time.
So let me just say that I was privy to a meeting with the manager and some Alliance members along with the county about
Correct.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
About 3 weeks ago. And during the discussion, first and foremost, what I want to say is that the county recognized that Howell Township has the best alliance probably in the county. Am I correct to say that?
Yes.
Yes. By far, our membership is high and very dedicated. And I've gotten to know personally some of the members that are absolutely dedicated. Second, what I would say is that this council has been committed to the alliance in the way of funding. Last year, we added an additional, I want to say $12,000 to the line item that was originally requested because we understand the concern that Howell's facing. There's an epidemic out there that, quite frankly, is killing our children. I'm proud to say that this council also supported many initiatives that now are in place, including the street crime unit within the police department that is, again, recognized throughout the county and probably the state, most active group out there combating this war on the front lines. We see now that the Alliance is partnering up with other nonprofits that go out there and, when there's a crisis out there, they're engaged immediately. These are volunteers from an organization that joined the police to try to intervene and get these people help that they need. We see now the governor out there on, all out there that is now, this has become a forefront war for him. And now much treatment is needed. So prevention has always been in play, but now treatment is something that is a priority for the administration. So with that said, I think we are on the right course. And I do agree with the mayor and Councilman Walsh and the rest of the council that we do have to stay on top of this fight. And I'm just not sure that a full-time coordinator or what'd you say, how many hours?
29.
29-hour coordinator is going to be the difference. But I could tell you that speaking for, I think I speak for all of us, that we are committed and we are not going to take our foot off the pedal, as they say, to fight this disease, because it affects all of us. So I concur. I think we need to try this. I'm glad to hear what the county has said, that we are number one, and we should monitor this for a year. And Mr. Mayfield, if you come back and the team, the Alliance team, thinks that this isn't working, we're not producing, then I think we immediately address that. But it's going to be incumbent upon our manager, and I'm not trying to throw you, you need to find the right person for this position. We need somebody that is deeply caring as the community is and as we are to do this job. And we encourage our volunteers to stay committed and let's fight this fight together. So those are my thoughts, and wait to see what direction we decide, right?
I would like to add a couple of comments as well. This alliance group is second to none, there is no doubt. And of course, our responsibility is also to be financially prudent. In keeping with that, we are hopeful that a part-time position will be as successful in the ensuing year as we have been. it does occur to me that because we are so savvy as to the situation and the war on drugs, alcohol, other substance abuses, perhaps we should be looking at a quarterly or a biannually report from Mr. Mayfield so that we're on top of everything, maybe even quicker than a year's time, should things look as though, we're not in keeping with what you know that this council has been committed to doing, then, maybe we could look at another option and adding something to it. But I do believe that our commitment from our volunteers and our Alliance group is second to none, and that I have every confidence in that kind of process going on. So hopefully we'll be successful as we have been, and, the vim and vigor of our volunteers will only, be more steadfast than ever, knowing that, we're battling not just the problem, but also the financial problem, which I know every town, every state, there's no news there for our community. So hopefully we're on the right path, and I would ask that, Mr. Mayfield, you come back to us, perhaps in 4 or 6 months and keep us, up to speed if you think that we're having an issue.
Understood, and you'll also be given a monthly report. That'll
Excellent.
be part of the newly revamped one that we just started
That's
sending
even
out.
better, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like a little clarity on something from, one of the members of the Alliance in the last week said to me that we get two $38,000 grants a year for the coordinator. And I was always told we got one $38,000 grant a year. Is there another $38,000 grant a year that we're getting that I've never been told in my 12 years up here?
No, the grant that we receive is for $45,310, and there's a township match portion of it of 25% cash match.
So what is that?
$45,310 is the amount of funding that we receive from the county.
And then we gotta put up a
25% of that, which is around $12,000.
So we gotta put up about 11,000. So, but we threw in extra money last year into stuff for the Alliance, correct?
Correct. There is a separate cost center for the Alliance services within the municipal budget that at the time was for some of the other expenses that go with, running some of those programs, as well as making up the balance of the gentleman's salary that was not covered by the Alliance grant from the county.
Okay. So I'm looking at 56,010. Could you tell me what the budget was last year for the Alliance? I'm just asking.
Rough guesstimate off the top of my head, probably salary and wages plus other expenses, probably about $75,000.
Well, how could that be if the salary was higher than that and there was insurance costs and everything else? And
75,000 being just what was budgeted in their cost center, obviously factoring in health benefits and certain other employer costs. It's safe to say that the total cost of the Alliance probably would have reached about $100,000. It's probably safe to say that, absolutely.
Okay, I'm good.
Do you want to open this up? Let's open this up for the general public.
Yeah, Mayor, you have a hearing of citizens now, so you might as well just do it at the same time. If you want to, or do you want to just limit it to this discussion?
Open it up for everything.
Do you want to open it up?
That's your call.
Do you want to just wait to go through everything,
I would-
and then
Yeah, I would
we
just
go,
take
so
this.
let's go
Let's,
through,
let's limit the discussion right now to the Alliance. Is that what you want to do?
yeah.
So you'll get to go next, Barbara.
Something tells me you'll be sticking around, Barbara.
If anybody has anything to speak about with respect to the Alliance?
Please.
Sandra Solly, Birdsall Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. I just wanted to ask, was the former Alliance coordinator getting health benefits from the township? Yes?
Yes.
Ask them.
Yes, he was.
Ever since he's been here? Was here?
I can't speak from the beginning, but I know at the end he was, and it was a contractual obligation that was fulfilled.
But he was retired and collecting his own benefits.
I can't speak to his personal history or what his retirement benefits included.
I don't know, I just don't understand, and now you're saying that we're number one, but this man is now gone, and what figure are you suggesting for the salary for the part-time coordinator?
We haven't discussed that yet.
That's what we're talking about right now.
But you're still gonna get the 45,000, so does that mean you're gonna refuse the 45,000 because you don't wanna pay a coordinator 45,000?
No.
No, it doesn't.
And the 45,000 doesn't have to be used for salary. It can be used for other expenses having to do with
It
the
would be
Alliance,
more for your projects and whatnot,
for things they do.
right?
And you said part-time, is that gonna be 2 days a week, 4 hours a day? How
We're
would you
thinking
work?
29 hours.
29 hours? Okay, thank you.
Evening, I'm Michael Pavlik, actually a police officer here in Howell Township, been an officer for over 21 years. I am co-chair of the Alliance, just got voted back in for my second term, and I am acting coordinator since separation with Mr. Hoffman. In regards to some of the, well, let me preface that with as much as what I do a lot of times because of my situation on light duty right now, Chief Kudrick does let me do a lot of the Alliance work while I'm on duty, but a lot of the work that I do is as a volunteer, and that's where my passion is as a volunteer for the Alliance. I don't do the Alliance because the chief asked me to. I started doing it well before that. So just wanted to clarify that. As far as some of the numbers go, and Lou, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I never understood how the grant worked. No one understood how the grant worked, so I went to the county and they explained it to me. From what I understand is that the salary that is provided through the grant goes through 2019, is $37,000. That's how much money is given to the township, and has been given to the township in the salary. I don't see how we could pay someone to do less because the grant, and it's hard to explain, and I could show it to you if it need be. The grant is very specific on what the coordinator has to be doing as per this grant and how he's getting paid as per the grant. Considering my name is now on this grant, I'm going to make sure that the grant is followed 110% because it is a federal document that I signed. As per the grant, there are 873 hours that the coordinator has to spend just doing the 4 grant programs. Those are just 4 programs out of the dozens that we do. That works out to be about 15 hours a week that's dedicated to just those programs, on top of everything else that we need to do. And again, unless I'm mistaken, because Lou is a numbers guy, I am not, that we get in total about $90,000 from $79,000 we get from this grant. 37 of it coming in salary, the rest coming as in-kind money.
Correct. The cash portion that we received, there's a certain amount that offsets salary, certain amount that offsets other expenses. There's a cash match portion which we provide in the budget, as well as, like you said, the in-kind portion of it, which does have a monetary value within the grant
Hold on,
as well.
in layman's terms, do we get $75,000, $80,000, or do we get $37,000?
We get $45,310 is what the total amount that the county cuts a check and pays to us for. A certain amount of that $45,000 offsets salary and wages, certain amount offsets other expenses, and they assign a cash value to the in-kind benefits that we provide, volunteer hours. They provide a cash value to that so that the amount of the grant is monetized at that amount, but the only amount that the county pays to us for this grant in cash is $45,310. That's the only amount that we receive from the county.
In the King's English,
Okay.
do we get $45,000 given to this town, or do we get $75,000, $80,000 given to this town?
The county pays us $45,310 every year. That is what we put in for reimbursable costs. The value of the grant with the in-kind efforts, contributions to the grant, they put a monetary value on the volunteer hours and stuff of that nature, so you can view that the total value of the grant that they're providing and the value that they're stipulating to the federal government, the value of the grant is $79,000.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
That's not the King's English.
No.
But there's actually $45,000 and change that comes to the town at the end of the day. At
Yes.
So the other
at the end of the-
34,000 is accountant's lingo, or is it green dollars?
No, it is,
Accountant lingo.
it's accountant link.
It's a government program.
I'm just making sure.
Right. It's,
45,000 comes from the county, 34,000 is from the money tree, from the government money tree.
exactly.
Fairy tale.
That we don't get.
All right, we get $45,000. We okay with that?
I guess, I mean, the figure is, I mean, explain it that way.
The county has a very fickle way of reporting this grant, as both the finance office and Mr. Pavlik have learned, because it's the use of federal funds. They're very specific in how they want this grant documentation reported to them. It's very much program-based, and we are allowed to, as I say, use in-kind services, which is, volunteer hours, just to name one example.
Okay.
Of that 45,000 then, we'll go with that number. And again, the grant is very specific, that 37,000 of that has to go towards a salary. So I don't see how we can pay someone $30,000, or whatever the number you guys threw out there, was the number I thought I heard before, if the grant specifies it has to be $37,000. Because the grant is very specific of how many hours have to get put in per the 4 programs that are on our grant. And it is very confusing. It took me 2 meetings with the county to figure out, but bottom line is, the salary that they give us, the money that they use to offset our salary, is program-based and is based per hour. So 300 hours has to be spent in Howell High School, and that was given a monetary value by the county. 200 hours.
Sorry? In where? In Howell High School?
Howell High School, doing high school programs. That's the way.
I'm just asking, so no,
So then there was another 200 hours that has to be spent organizing and facilitating Howell Day. And that has a monetary value for it. That's how they give us the money. There's a program in school for Heroes and Cool Kids, great mentoring program that we sponsor. That's 223 hours. A driving campaign we do with the high school, 150 hours. So 873 hours right off the bat, 15 hours a week, has to be spent basically doing just those 4 programs. If we don't do it that way, then we're in violation of this grant and we'll lose any money. And again, since my name is on this grant, I'm going to make sure that the grant is followed specifically. I don't need to get in trouble for a federal document that's not correct.
We wouldn't ask you to, don't,
I know.
don't worry about that.
I just want to make that clear. Those are just 4
We're
programs.
talking about $7.
Those are just 4 programs that the Alliance runs. There's countless other programs that we do run that take a lot of time. We just started, we have a prescription drug take-back program, because we all know that once your prescriptions in your cabinets and they sit around, a lot of times they get into bad hands. A program we have is I've gone around to all the pharmacies, got all pharmacists on board. One of our members, Krista Riddle, sat down with the DEA, spent months coming up with basic disposal bag. We're now going around to all the pharmacies, making sure the pharmacies are supplied with these bags. They're instructed, get handed out with the controlled substances. They then come to the police department when they're done with their medication, turn them in. We also are starting a pilot program with the villages. I just met with them for a few hours the other day, where we're going to be going around to every senior center, because sometimes the seniors have a hard time getting down to the PD, and they do have the majority of prescriptions. And we'll be going to all the senior centers, and we'll be collecting all their medication as well. We do every 2 months, we do a magazine called the Prevention Press. I don't know if all of you've seen it. I'm sure you have. We run every event that we have: Howell Day, Trunk or Treat, the holiday lighting, back to school, the Madison Beggs Kids for Kids cancer benefit. All these programs take a lot of time. And I understand that for a long time, the volunteers have been doing a great job doing this. But I can speak for the volunteers, because we had a meeting the other day. The volunteers are burnt out. They've basically been hanging on with promise, maybe for me, shouldn't have, but they've basically been looking at the end of the tunnel saying, okay, we're going to have a full-time coordinator that now has specific job duties that we've redone, and they're going to be held to a high standard to run all of these programs. We've worked very hard for the past few months to kind of turn things around from the way they were run to the way that we want to run. And I can guarantee that a lot of volunteers are going to be very disappointed in the fact that I understand budget time is important, it's important to save money, but in light of the heroin epidemic that there is here in the state, and the fact that Governor Christie is devoting his entire year to it, how do we go backwards? Because that's what this is. Going forward, we had a separation from our old employer, our old employee. We moved forward, things are going great. We have all these new programs we're doing, the volunteers are all hanging on, and they're all working hard. But to go backwards, to me, is almost like a smack in the face to them. Hey, thanks for all the hard work, but now just keep doing it. And
I
they are getting burnt out.
Excuse me, but
Yeah.
I don't see what difference a few hours a week would make, because we're not talking about half-time.
Well,
And it takes hands and bodies. One person, a few more hours isn't going to make up for what all those volunteers do.
being involved in this for the past 2 years, I respectfully have to disagree, because it takes that person to be the leader and organize everything. Without that person being a leader, then everyone's kind of running around like chickens without heads. And how the hours going to make a difference? Yes, because 15 of those 29 hours have to be spent doing these 4 programs. What about the rest of the programs that we have to run? All the grant writing they have to do, all the reporting they have to do, the reporting to Jakarta, reporting to the county, reporting to the town manager, all that has to be done. So if 15 hours a week out of those 29 are already dedicated, then how are we going to do all this other stuff, all the other programs that we're having? And a couple hours, yes, in my opinion, based on what I do for a living, I am part of our street crimes unit, our CSU unit. So yeah, a couple hours a week could make a huge difference in somebody's life. Because we are running prevention programs. We do work with the police department. We do work with other.
You're missing my point.
I am.
My point is that you keep making the point that the people are burnt out, and they're not going to do more anyway, because a full-time coordinator will make that much difference. Now, how can one person make up for all the hands that aren't going to be doing it because they're burnt out?
I can explain that. Because the way that we've redone the essential job functions of the new coordinator, a lot of the things that the volunteers were doing, the coordinator will be doing. And it won't be so much maybe hands-on doing every single second, but they'll be able to organize it all and then have the volunteers help them. The way things have been running and are running now is that the volunteers have been doing everything for years. Everything. They've coordinated
Even though
everything.
the coordinator has been paid full-time, there's something wrong with what we've been doing.
There's something wrong.
And
There's
that's why
something
we're
wrong
trying-
with that we were paying $100,000 in taxpayers of Howell, and we weren't getting service back in return. But you know, what would be the problem with having 2 part-time coordinators at $25,000 would give you more than 40 hours a week, okay, which is more hours, and would save the township $50,000. What would be the problem with that?
I didn't know that was an option. The only thing that I had heard was that
There are a
one
lot of
person had 29.
options. There are a lot of options, and there really, truly are. And we have nothing against the Alliance. And you know, I am a big advocate for the Alliance, for fighting the drugs. At every turn, I've said, let's do all we can. But we
Absolutely.
also need to do it, I'm not sure if we can do it smarter, but boy, based on what I've heard,
I think so.
we can do it smarter.
You're absolutely right. We can do
Okay?
it smarter.
And that's from
what
the
I've been-
outside.
And I'll say that from the inside, that we can do it smarter, and that's why things have changed. Because of that, because we realize that things need to go better, and that's why things have changed. That's why we are looking for a new coordinator, so that things can be run the right way. And so that we can guarantee with the way we change the
I
job
think there are a
functions.
lot of talented people out there that would relish the opportunity to have a part-time job like that for $25,000 a year, and it would be a tremendous asset, both financially and for the effectiveness in our Alliance organization. Now, that's just me throwing something out there as we're talking out loud. It seems to solve what you're saying, which is 29 hours isn't enough time. It also saves the taxpayers a lot of money, gives us 2 full, able bodies, okay? And if volunteers, okay, want to say, well, I'm not going to do it if there's 2 coordinators, I mean, that kind of takes away some of the spirit of volunteerism.
I never said-
mean,
I didn't say they
there
weren't
are a
going
lot
to
of great
do it.
volunteers in Hal, in a lot of different organizations.
Right. They're
A
not
lot
going to
of
not
them
do
do it
it.
for nothing.
No. They're not going to do it because, they're not going to not do it because they are passionate about it. If they weren't passionate about it, they wouldn't be doing it. I'm saying they're getting burnt out. When you go to the same handful of people, because, listen, in any organization, you get 10% of people doing 80, 90% of the work. That's
Boy, do
everywhere.
I know that.
But when we go with the same 10% of people, which is 3 or 4 people within the Alliance, do all of the work all of the time, we are burnt out.
You know that,
I'm doing a large portion of the work as acting coordinator, again, because of my role in the PD and being on desk duty. hopefully relatively soon, I will not be on desk duty, and I won't be able to devote the time. I will donate my own time, because I am passionate about it, but I'm not going to be able to do this full-time while I'm working. So someone else is going to have to pick up all that slack as well, and volunteers are always going to be volunteers, always going to do it. They're just getting burnt out from doing all the work for years.
I hear a lot of good works from you with people. Why wouldn't you put in for one of the part-time coordinators?
From who put in for it?
You.
Me put in for it?
Yeah.
I have a job. I love my job.
You probably donate that much time to it now.
I probably do, but I like my job. I don't want to do anything else.
I just threw that out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but now I like it. Be a little bit pay cut for me too, but
No, part-time.
no, I like what I do. My job is I don't have set hours. My hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I don't have a 9 to 5 position in the police department.
Mayor, if I may, I know we have on the agenda tonight where we've increased our volunteer numbers for another committee. Can you get back to us statutorily if there's any numbers? I know statutorily we have to have certain members part of the alliance, but can we increase the public portion of that? Maybe there are more volunteers that could go on this alliance that are willing to do it, you know? The only issue I have, and I don't discount anything you're saying about, you know, what's happening and the right direction you're going in. I always have the problem, how long was Mr. Hoffman working for us? A long time, you know?
Yep, long time.
You know, and a lot of things have been accomplished, you know? So I don't want to throw anyone under the bus,
Absolutely not.
you know? I want to make sure that we recognize that.
Absolutely, he was here for a very long time.
You know, and things got done. So can things always be done better when new blood comes in? Absolutely. I understand that. We all have different ideas on how we do things. But
Correct.
I just want to throw that out there because it could be perceived as, you know,
No, I'm not trying to be disparaging towards Mr. Hoffman. I'm just saying things were
Yeah.
done one way, and we figured out a better way to
yeah.
do them.
I
That's
just
all.
want to
I'm
make
not
that part of
trying
the
to be
record.
disparaging towards Mr.
I just want to
Hoffman
put that
at
on
all.
the record.
Not at all.
Please.
When I had said earlier that, you know, get a report and then we would readdress, you know, if there were concerns, to the possibility of more than one part-time person has been discussed. So we haven't looked at this narrow-mindedly. You know, we've tried to see some of the other options that would be fiscally responsible as well as address all the needs of the organization. There is a question, though, that I do have. He said that $37,000 must be paid to salary. Did I understand that correctly?
The way I'm understanding the grant, that's
I'm
30.
just curious, is that the case?
I mean, I have no reason to believe Mr. Pavlik is incorrect. I mean, that's definitely the number that we have allocated in previous years from the grant to offset salary and wages, so
The
that.
probability is yes.
Yes,
that is the
absolutely.
number.
Luke, can we just double verify? Because we were
Absolutely.
told something different,
Absolutely.
and I want
I
to make
actually
sure.
have a copy of the.
I would like to see a copy of the grant.
Okay, I can get it to you.
All right, but we'll definitely get back with that one.
Interesting.
Okay. I mean, if you guys have no questions for me, that's basically about it. I just, again, not speaking as a police officer, not speaking as the acting coordinator, just as a citizen of Howell, because I've lived here my whole life, 45 years, my family's been here since the 60s. I just think that in light of everything that's going on, and I'm sure the drug epidemic has affected numerous people in this room, how we could take a step backwards. If we wind up with two part-time people who put in all the hours, I guess that's better than one part-time person. I just don't want to see our alliance go backwards. Our alliance has been working well with other organizations. We've been supplying the Narcan to the police department. Our police department had 29 Narcan saves last year. Only one person, and it's a tragedy, one person in Howell Township died last year of a drug overdose, and unfortunately, he was deceased before we even got there. We saved 29 people's lives, and that Narcan came from the alliance, and it came from fundraisers that we do. So there are a lot of other programs that we run that affect everybody. I'll just
We
end with
may
that.
allocate more money to the alliance just in a different way.
I think we all recognize the commitment and the dedication that you and your members have. I hope it's mutual, that you understand that we are equally as committed and committed to the alliance as well. So how we get there, we're going to get there. You know, we spoke about this in the meeting. So we're all on the same page.
Okay, all right.
It's just an important message that the public knows we're all equally committed.
Okay, all right.
So for me, if you would please, I would like a description of all of the different programs that you do,
Absolutely, I can get that
with
for
the
you.
hours included, and I would also like a copy of the grant so I can review that.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely, I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll close this.
Is there anyone else?
Anybody else?
Is there anybody else to discuss this? So I'll close this portion.
See if anybody else wants to speak about anything else while you have it open.
Oh, you
Yes, yeah.
okay.
Go right to it now.
Is there anybody else that has anything to discuss here this evening?
Barbara Dixon on the list, first one on the list.
You have the list over there?
Do we have the list?
Yes, Barbara Dixon.
Barbara's on that list?
Oh, this,
Are you on that list, Barbara?
Where am I not on the list?
Well, golly, Barbara. Well, golly. Shocked, Jerry. Love you, Jerry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Barbara Dixell, 62A Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey.
Good evening.
Good evening there. Okay. Okay, so 9A1 is done. Up to 9A6. Are they upgrading their infrastructure, and what are they doing, or how are they doing it? American Water.
You want us to take that, or you want to take it?
no, you go ahead, your planning board.
So, New Jersey American Water is expanding their infrastructure. This is the acceptance of their performance guarantee.
So okay, so they've already been to the board.
They don't need to go to the board for this,
Okay.
but they are doing an infrastructure upgrade, and it also includes the, obviously on Squonkam Yellowbrook, you got
And that's
the
the
Board
Board of Education building, or in back of it.
Correct.
All right.
So it's a good thing.
Anything with American Water, they're going to do their infrastructure is a good thing. But I have to impress upon you, I really would like you to talk to them about making the drinking water in Howell more drinkable.
Okay.
We have a lot to do with that.
Because it's not too drinkable. I know a lot of people buy bottled water in the villages, and I have a whole house filter, and I've been begging you, but you've heard me for the last 15 years.
We have.
I wonder if we could get Barbara a tour of the facility, so that she
Are
can...
you kidding? I've been there.
Okay, so then you should see it, then you shouldn't be asking...
I just
Wouldn't have to ask the
I just beat their
questions.
brains in any damn time I can get, because and I will tell you, many years ago, when Helene Schlegel was the manager, we had, the village's board and me went to the office, and we had a meeting with the manager, Helene, and American Water, and Stanley Marciniak, and, oh, what the hell is his name? The
God rest his
environmental
soul.
guy. Yes, God bless his soul. And we had said, we asked them to upgrade the quality of the drinking water in Oak Glen. And at that time, it was really undrinkable. And then we had a meeting in the villages, and one lady from American, Lindell Jones, got up and said, "Oh, we have a problem with quality of water in American Water." That's all I had to hear. I said, so what happened at that meeting was, they refused to do it. Oh, we wanted them to put the spray in the water or whatever to aerate the water, make it more drinkable. Oh, that's going to cost $70 million. We can't do it. Well, we're drinking this crap. So, again, please, all I ask you, again, and otherwise I'll get on the phone and I'll call Bob Brampston or anybody else I can. Ask them. Mayor, I'm asking you, you're new to this. So I'm asking you, get on the phone and call them and tell them to make sure that the water that's coming out of their stuff is drinkable.
I will make the phone call, and I will ask. That's the best I could offer at this point.
Because in past years, never mind, okay, I understand that. Okay, there's something in your water called trihalomethanes. In the summertime,
Oh, here we go.
never mind.
Here we go.
Never mind, it's just a useless thing here.
Here we go.
Okay, nine, it doesn't pay to
What
talk.
was that French company?
9A8,
Yes.
a copy village, what are they doing?
They're just reducing their performance guarantee.
But they
Just a
still,
reduction, they're still,
okay, but they still have one.
yes.
And 9A9 is the same thing? What about the road thing?
We're returning their road restoration guarantee.
Okay, 9A10,
What's the question, Barbara?
don't they have to go to the zoning board?
To what?
We're returning unused sewer review escrow
Okay,
funds.
that's fine, thank you. 9A13, did this,
Same thing. Unused.
unused, so they didn't, because I thought I remember hearing the name that may have gone to a board. Okay.
Barbara, it doesn't make a difference if they put money in escrow. We're the
Okay.
ones that have to authorize the money leaving the escrow
You
accounts.
can't hold on to it, they have to go through this process to get it back.
Okay. Okay, 9A21,
9A17 isn't me.
excuse me?
9A17 isn't me.
What's the question on 21, Barbara?
What are you buying?
We're not
Oh,
buying
just sort of-
anything, we're just authorizing certain purchases through the co-op.
If they come up. They haven't been identified. It just authorizes us to use that co-op in the event we need to.
Okay, 9A22, we're paying for, why not?
Fencing.
Okay, why aren't they, why isn't the Little League paying for this? Why are we
We
paying?
own the land.
Okay, good reason. 9A23, why and what, why and for who?
Why should we have to pay
Well,
for
it
it?
tells you,
Just because
it's
we
an
know.
upgrade.
It's security upgrades, cameras, and stuff that
Right.
is all security related.
Safety of the residents.
And the employees.
And by the way, Barbara, these were just all items in the capital budget approved last year, so they're just correct?
I'm
Jeff? Thank you.
No, I'm sorry, I'm
That's
just
correct.
going.
No, it's
Thank you
okay.
very much.
That's correct, though, yes.
All right, 9A25, where is all of this overlay?
We took that off the agenda. That's off the
Off
agenda.
the agenda, okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, I had gone to the ladies' room, I didn't hear it. Okay, 9A26, to explain whatever dark
We're
fiber
rescinding a
optic.
resolution that we had authorized.
Say that again?
Rescinding a resolution that we had authorized.
Okay, fine. All right, 9A27 and 28,
Return of restoration guarantees.
um,
All of these are from planning board cases or other board cases where we either, they have to ask for the return of them or with the balances that are left.
okay. On this First Federal Credit Union, whatever, I just want to reiterate the fact that many years ago, in 1999, a few of us in the villages were the village's Howell Township Liaison Committee, and we had an agreement with Exxon and whoever was on that road, never ever to open the back of Wyckoff to traffic because it's a fatal accident waiting to happen. It's a local narrow country road. I want to make sure.
Barbara, as you know, Barbara, at the planning board, that was in the resolution that they were not allowed to open up
From
that
what
access
I
point.
understand, they want to come back and open it.
Well, we'll deal with it when they come
All right,
back.
that's another thing.
Same for the planning board.
I'm sure you'll talk to me about it.
Councilman.
She'll talk to me about it, I'm sure.
Because anything to open the back of that road would be an absolute danger.
You know, the only thing that was discussed at the planning board was for emergency fire engines and,
Yeah, right.
So-
A paper roadway from,
Yeah.
but from what
but I
I'm.
think we made it clear, so we'll have that discussion
What
offline.
I'm being told that they may have other thinking.
We're gonna give you your number.
Yeah, I'd be happy to beat their brains in. I'd be very happy. Okay, what is cops in shops, 9A30?
This was a grant that was presented to the township by the police department, that I believe it had to do with, enforcement. It was sponsored by the Alcoholic Beverage Control, that, it helped, that certain hours were put towards, curbing the sale of alcohol to juveniles. In order, one of the requirements for us to receive the proceeds of this grant is that we have to have the governing body adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of the grant. It's just part of the grant process, and we're just, following standard operating procedures.
Okay, and last one is 9833, because of what and why? Why they,
They
special
probably
account?
over budget, or they need additional funds to satisfy for 2016.
Okay. For any, a special thing that they're working on, or just in
My-
general?
I believe that it was probably for one of the cases relative to years, you'll probably remember this, Crystal Creek. And part of that was being paid by the insurance company, and then another case came up, and that insurance company was no longer paying a portion of it,
Right.
so that was probably what was left over.
There's that lawsuit for over 20 years ago off of Colts Neck Road, right?
Yeah, there's two of them. One was paid by the, like, two-thirds of it was paid by the insurance
We
company.
ended up with getting hit with 10% of it about 11 years ago.
We're still getting hit.
They got like a $3 million settlement.
It was Winland Brook, Barbara, and they also handle some appeal matters for us, and they were capped at 25,000. So through the year, they over exceeded that,
All right.
and then we're
I-
authorizing
can I-
additional
Can I
funds.
make a statement or a comment on 11.1 and 2?
Not yet. You can make a statement.
Well, okay,
No.
so when you
You
introduce,
can, it's not open, it's not, go ahead.
when you introduce the ordinance, will you open it to the public? I would like to make a statement, and I
You
won't
can
make it
do it right
now.
now. We're not gonna open it to the public, it's first reading.
Right, okay.
So you have to wait for second reading, but if you want to talk about.
11.1, I think a person elected or appointed should sign the statement. I don't think,
You're right, they will,
I-
and they
I-
do.
well, it says eliminate something around.
No, it eliminates somebody that's running for office. Like, we have no control over somebody that's running for office that's not already sitting in office.
All right.
So that's what we're sort of cleaning up the language that's been there for,
Yeah, because I think no matter who it is,
they
running
do,
or appointed.
every year.
Running or appointed, I
Well,
think
not
people
running.
should
I
sign.
mean, unless you're an incumbent.
It's not a police state.
I know that, but
But
you know what?
incumbents,
But you can be held to your performance.
but the state statutes govern those.
laws
But-
cover that
But this is for our sitting
All right.
elected officials and those that are
All
sitting
right,
and running.
Because this way you can be held to your
Yep.
performance in the job.
Yes.
11.2, I think it's fine, I think that's a good idea. Add another member and 3 alternate members, I think it's a good idea.
They've done a lot of good work in health for years,
Absolutely.
not like Restoration of Wildlife Committee.
Thank you all very much, and Mayor, I would like to sit
Thank
down
you.
with you. At one point, I will make an appointment with you, you make an appointment with me.
Here's snacks
I
and
would like to
report.
sit down with you over American Water. I got this much from years.
So,
Good
so,
idea.
can I ask, Mr. Mayfield, I'm sure that we get quality water results, right? Don't they test the water when they
Yes.
Yes, they do.
when they run the lines?
Yeah.
So can we share that
We do.
information? We do. So, I mean,
I say, I'll sit down with you, Glass, years worth.
well, thank you very much.
You know, with the water company, I do think we need to have another meeting, not about this, Barbara, not about the quality. I do think we have to have another meeting with them about putting water lines at Freewood Acres when the road's open. I really would like to have another meeting with them. I
We
mean,
can schedule it.
to me, it's just not acceptable that they won't run water.
Nobody disagrees.
We agree,
with
we
you.
all agree with you.
Okay,
Nobody disagrees.
Yeah,
They don't want to pay to do it.
listen, I think we need to work something out, that those roads are gonna be open,
I know.
okay? If there was ever a time to run water lines, it is when they're open.
I could talk to Mr. Herman and have him set up another meeting and see if we can get any further with them, but the marching orders the last time where they're not paying for the cost.
There we
That's
go.
great, but they wanna make the profit.
Well, that's it.
That is great to tell the taxpayers of Howell. We don't want to absorb cost, but we want the revenue and the profit off your backs. That just is unacceptable to me. It
Council-
really is unacceptable. I'm sorry, Barbara. It is just unacceptable
I
to
don't
me.
disagree. I'm not the water company.
Okay, well, listen, Mayor, is it okay that I ask them for another meeting, with the governing
Absolutely.
body?
Absolutely.
Okay, to me, this is sickening. That we're gonna open up the roads, we're gonna put sewers in, and they're not gonna run water lines when it's going on. I mean, If it doesn't happen now, there'll never be water.
No, I'll join him and we'll have that meeting.
Their environmental guy is still Anthony Matarazzo for the last 15 or 20 years, and he and I lock horns every time we meet.
So Councilman Wash and Councilman Deputy Mayor DeCastro, you would both like to be at the meeting?
Yes, please.
We gotta do something here.
All right, wonderful. Good.
You have to notice it.
No.
All right,
I'll be glad to attend. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up?
you don't need that cane, she was jogging before.
My name is Charles O'Donnell, 27 Barron Meadow Lane, Howell, New Jersey.
Good evening.
Good evening. Item R17-36, also marked 9A.2. It says authorize cancellation of 2015 uncollectible property taxes, various, and relieve the tax collector from collecting the same. Are you canceling taxes that you couldn't collect? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. The tax collector, under the purview of the statute, is permitted to cancel taxes if it's deemed uncollectible for any reason or another. Most of the time, these are for balances that are of $5 and less, which he is permitted to do per statute.
Okay, and what is the total we're discussing here that we're going to cancel?
Let me refer to the ordinance. I was not prepared for that question, but
Resolution.
Because we were talking earlier about funding for such things as the Alliance and things of that nature.
I think there's a cap on the amount that, the total gross amount that she's allowed to cancel.
It's usually down to the point where it costs more to try to collect it than it is, like
Okay.
$1.98 or,
Well, I fully understand it's individual cases, but we're talking 100,000 of
Yeah,
these?
but if each one of those cases, and I agree that we should be careful of them and should decide whether or not they're uncollectible, but if postage and whatnot, to keep sending people notices for like $1.98, it's one notice.
I'll have to get back to you.
But it's also, I'm sorry,
I
Mr.
don't have that information.
McKenna, on the backup, it's mostly for the senior citizens and the veterans for the $250 that are not charged. Lou, what's the program?
Senior tax-free disability.
For the seniors, the senior
the
tax
seniors
fees
and
and
veterans
veterans.
deduction.
So most of them on the list are for the seniors and the veterans.
So that would be considered uncollectible property tax.
And disabled veterans don't pay tax, they
And it's-
file for exemption,
It's $250.
Exemption with who? The state, right?
and they file with us also. I mean,
Okay.
I've done mortgages for
State
disabled veterans that don't pay municipal, state, they don't pay any tax.
Property tax
They
either.
don't pay any property.
Fully understand. But that's not, it's not that it's uncollectible, but it's something that's been written off as an exemption.
Correct, but we still have to,
For statutory purposes, it's deemed uncollectible.
Oh, okay. Do we have you don't have a total on that?
Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seniors and veterans.
Okay, but that's the total that's going to be canceled.
That's the
Okay.
total amount of,
Okay, that makes sense that you really don't have it if it's a $100 or $1,005 debts that are owed.
well, there's 13 seniors and veterans on the list,
On the list that are going to be canceled as uncollectible.
because they're exempt.
Okay, and then if...
then you have disabled veterans.
Yeah, I fully understand the veterans thing, being one myself and how it works. But what I'm saying is that is for this year or 2015.
2016.
Okay, well, it says 2015 on this, on the,
I see 2016 on my backup, just so you know.
I believe that it was most likely a typo on
in
the
the original
agenda.
one. Okay, the one that went out.
All these would be applicable to 2016.
Okay. And then next year, they'll have the same thing,
Yeah.
hopefully. All right, thank you.
Every year they have it.
Thank you.
Well, I can see one of these gentlemen I happen to know personally, and he just bought his home last year. So he's on here for the first time.
I think it's a typo in the resume.
No problem.
Is there anyone else on the list?
There is not.
Is there anybody else in the public that would like to come up and speak? Please.
Good evening. My name is Les Spindell. I'm at 46 West Da Vinci Way in Equestria.
Good evening.
We're encouraged to hear the efforts that you've done to reduce costs. We've done an analysis of our data analysis. Looks like the good news is the tax ratables have gone up by about 5.1% from last year. But the bad news is about 3.7% of that is from existing homeowners that have had their assessments raised. So if you keep the tax rate the same as you did last year, and we do understand last year there was the desire to pay down the debt as a positive thing, but if you were to keep the tax rate the same again this year, about 3/4 of that is going to be on the backs of the existing homeowners. So we're hopeful that you will continue to find ways to keep the costs under control and reduce the tax rate appropriately going forward.
We try hard.
But you do understand that we are only the collector of taxes, that over 83% of the taxes come from other entities and have nothing to do with us.
We do understand that, and we are dealing with the other entities also.
Okay.
But you are a portion of that total, and you were the one that didn't decrease your rate last year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this point, if there's no one else, I would like to close, please.
Well, last year we chose to, while interest rates were low, we chose to bond
Right.
for all the roads we had fixed, and, you know, it was the time to do it while interest rates were low. Now interest rates are over 1% higher, but we chose to bite the bullet.
Please.
Sandra Solly, Birdsall Road, Farmingdale. What is the protocol for using either a resolution or an ordinance for official business?
They both have the same
What are you asking? The legal opinion?
Yes.
What do you-
All right. I saw an article in the Coaster. Bradley Beach resident is suing to vacate an action council took without proper notice to the public. The council put something on the agenda that was not discussed at a workshop meeting
Where
prior.
is this?
Bradley Beach,
Bradley Beach.
January 5th. So the public member thought that they acted improperly because they did not post it to the public.
What was it?
They had a contract to renew the, ordinance to rehire the policeman and to hire a company to do a Memorial Day parade.
I'm sorry,
So there's two actions.
what were they? An ordinance to hire somebody?
Ordinance,
To hire a police chief,
right.
and an ordinance to do what?
To hire a company to do the Memorial Day parade.
To do what for the Memorial Day parade?
Organize it.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, so he's suing to vacate because he felt proper notice wasn't given to the public. He said that they have a special ordinance in Bradley Beach where they have to have a workshop meeting prior to an official meeting, and that the clerk has to be notified 4 days prior to the agenda meeting, to put anything on the agenda. It has to be 4 days prior, and it has to have been discussed at a prior workshop meeting. In this case, it had been on the agenda, they took it off, they had a workshop meeting, they came out and they put it back on and they voted on it and passed it. So this man felt that it was not proper, that the public was not given an opportunity to comment on it. Now, I was wondering, does Howell have anything like this? 3 days, 4 days?
No. Yeah.
Ms. Wallen, could you please speak into the mic so?
We have a meeting protocol, and then if we have an ordinance, we put it on the agenda for introduction, and then we adopt at second readings, whether that's at the next meeting or It typically has to be 10 days, at least 10 days to allow for publication. That's by statute, though.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know,
what you're giving me bits and pieces.
They
of it,
have-
So I really can't comment on the entire thing.
they have a
until I read it.
special ordinance that goes beyond.
Sandra, I know what you're saying, but you're
Right.
only giving me a portion of what you read, and I don't have all of the facts.
Right.
So I can't communicate to you correctly and accurately what, from a legal standpoint, what the reasoning or rationale is.
All right, my rationale is, on December 12th, an item was added to the agenda. At the end,
What item was added to the agenda? Let's be specific.
39A,
What was it?
Resolution 16-446, the lease for PAL to have space in this building. Now, the public had no ability to comment on this. I feel it was not fair to the public because when you lease land to the organic garden, it was done by ordinance. The original lease to PAL to have space at the school was done by ordinance. I say this lease should have been ordinance, and that the public should have had the opportunity to discuss it.
It could be done by ordinance or resolution.
Well, all I know is,
Local public contract law allows for it.
it's my understanding that that space could have been rented for $80,000. We're giving it to PAL for
How is it
$1,200.
your understanding that the space could be rented for $80,000?
Somebody said.
Who said that?
I don't know.
Somebody doesn't know how much
Sandra,
lease is
I
on.
don't have a problem answering your questions, but when you say things like this, I can't, as an attorney, say to you, this is factually correct or incorrect. You're telling me that somebody tells you that they could lease that space, or that space could be leased for $80,000.
All right, let's ask
I don't
Mr.
know that to be.
Palazzo a question. How many units downstairs are rented?
All of them, but
All of our available units are rented by tenants.
we don't have any new tenants. These
No,
tenants have
how
already
many
existed.
how many are downstairs that can be rented to public?
We have 5 tenants downstairs, and all of our units are occupied.
Is
Paying
that how
rent
many
to-
units are downstairs?
There, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's approximately 10 units, but one company owns, pays rent on more than one unit.
Some of them have been altered from when we first took over the building. I think there were 13 tenants at one time, then there was 10 tenants, then 8 tenants, and some tenants took more of a percentage as other tenants left. So
So-
everything's rented downstairs, except for the one unit.
All right. Now, was there any attempt to rent the Kessler rehabilitation unit in the last 4 years?
No, because we did not know what we were gonna do with it. When we first moved in, it was a cancer rehabilitation unit. Have you been down there? Have you ever seen the layout of the place?
No?
It's different than every other unit in this building.
So,
It's not as easily rentable as every other space.
if you took
And
the
we used
pool,
it for storage.
if you took the pool out, could you have rented it?
I don't know what the cost to remove the pool is, but it's my understanding, somebody told me it would be really expensive.
So, does that mean that the PAL is going to use the pool?
No, that doesn't mean that. It means that PAL's gonna use a portion of that building,
No, that unit.
that space. Sorry, space.
All right, my question is that that resolution should not have been placed on the agenda that night, because when I got here a little late, it had already been discussed, it was supposed to be public-private shared services. So how is that shared services if the employees and the members of PAL are going to use this unit for $1,200 a year, and we theoretically are losing the amount of money that that unit could be rented for?
You can say the same thing for Southern School.
Right,
Which is a public-private partnership
right.
between the
What about the
PAL,
food
the school
pantry?
board, and Howell Township.
What about the food pantry?
I mean,
Do they pay rent?
$1 a
That's
year.
what PAL pays for the school, $1. And the organic garden, $1.
That's the law, Barbara. I mean, sorry, Barbara.
I'm not,
Sorry.
hi Barbara. My question is, you're gonna lease it to them for 5 years. Now, the argument for this building was that it was gonna bring us in, I think, $750,000. When I was sitting at a budget hearing,
How much did they bring us in, Lou?
what?
How much do we get in rent a year?
Roughly $750,000 a year.
Now, when I was at a budget
Close.
hearing one year, the figure was 675,000. So that meant we lost money that particular time. Was it because the Kessler wasn't,
When was that hearing? Be specific.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
But I can't, in order for us to
Say
give you a,
nothing.
but I
Let's
don't want
ask
to give you
Lou.
an inaccurate statement. You're asking us questions that are then going to be put in black and white, and they're not going to be accurate. I don't want to answer something or give you false information. I would rather give you accurate information.
Lou was there at the budget
He
hearing.
doesn't know what you're referring to.
Yes, he
What year?
does.
Okay.
I
So,
mean, sorry, Mayor.
I'm sorry. What is the actual question? What is your expectation of the council?
Why was this lease executed without input from the public, since it's going to affect the taxpayer? If
Well-
that unit
well-
is worth $80,000, for 5 years, that's $400,000, and what we're gonna get is $6,000.
But the public did have an opportunity during the public session to comment on it, just the way Mrs. Dixell did on all those others.
Barbara wasn't here that night.
But, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Can't
Like
pass
she
the law in
did-
Howell if Barbara ain't here.
Like she just did tonight.
And I didn't know it, because I got here 10 minutes late, and it had already been added to the agenda, and Mr. Mayfield had already done his report, and said it was a public-private
But
shared
you-
services.
What time did you get to the meeting exactly?
10, 15 minutes late?
What do you hope for us to do? Because we had spoken about this numerous times over a couple of years.
Yeah.
Not just on December 12th. We had spoken about this numerous times.
Specifically when, Mr. Walsh?
I would say 2014. We spoke about it in 2013.
All right, but what's that, 4 years ago?
I'm just saying we spoke about it numerous times over a couple of years. I got no issues.
And we discussed it that night.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issues whatsoever. What is it that you hope us to do?
I'm gonna go back and watch the meeting and see what kind of discussion was had that night.
What would you like us to do?
Next time you do something like this, let it be open to the public. Ordinance, not a resolution, not consent agenda.
Why don't you bring it back and reopen it?
Good,
What?
good thought. Let's vacate it.
Listen, you can ask anything you want. Talk to the mayor, tell her what you would like.
You could, as a governing body, you certainly have that
I
right.
ain't vacating nothing.
No, my concern is, why is it benefiting the public for the members of POW to come in here and use this building for
Because the
$1,200?
members of Howell are the residents of Howell.
Wait a minute, wait.
Am
You
I
can
wrong?
join PAL. They would love a volunteer like you.
Do you have to live in Howell to belong to POW? You have to live in Howell? So there could be people from Jackson or,
I'm not sure about that.
I'm just asking, I don't know.
I think most of their programs are geared for the kids.
Here's what I would tell you, Sandra, that I subscribe to their mission. So is there a difference whether they're helping a child from Jackson or Howell or Freehold? Me personally, speaking only for myself, I don't care. It is a public-private partnership. We have it with them throughout the town. They provide a vital service to the community. If you feel differently, you could say that, but this governing body made a decision based on the vital service they produce for this community, children, adults alike, and that's the decision we made.
All right. Did they do a study to see how many employees would want to make use of this? How many already belong to a gym? There's many gyms in Howell. If we want those poor people to have workout time, then let's give them a discount card from Gold's Gym. I just want to know how many people, employees of this town, are going to use that gym, and how many members does PAL have? Who did a study?
I'm sure,
feel the
I'm
need for
I'm
this.
sure if the PAL did not need it, they probably would not have taken it.
So-
However, with that said, from the little bit I know, there's probably 700 members throughout the PAL. It's one of the biggest PALs in Monmouth County. It's a model in the county,
All over the United
All over the
States,
United
it's one of
States.
the models.
Model around the country.
a model,
So that means that maybe 300 people will want to come in here and use the gym? 50%?
I don't know. I mean,
There should have been a study.
I believe we should have allocated 50,000 now that you're talking and had a study done too. Okay?
No, the PAL would have done a study.
Come on.
No, come on. You're worried about paying a
I'm
coordinator
not worried about
too
nothing.
much
I'm not
money.
worried about nothing at the moment except watching The Bachelor, which I DVR'd last night.
Uh-oh. shame. Anyway, I request that, like Barbara said, this should be withdrawn and redone, and the public should have an opportunity to comment on it. Because we're talking big bucks. I mean, at one time, Senator Singer was supposed to be coming in here, and he said...
We don't know that to be true. I never heard
I
that.
talked to him.
Well, we never talked to him.
He said he needed space, but he ended up having to rent in Lakewood. I think as long, he serves like 6 towns in Monmouth County. It would make sense to me that he's in this building and that everybody wouldn't have to buggy lug down to Lakewood to talk to him.
I think
You
you should
tell
talk
us.
to them tomorrow. There's a place with a pool downstairs, tell them.
I will.
So I think we'll take this under advisement,
Thank
and
you.
thank you very
Anything like
much.
this, open to the public, ordinance, like you did with the rezoning on Route 9 in West Farms. 2 weeks, 2 readings. And it was done so quickly, there wasn't enough notice given. So remember that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Say that again?
Her statements were not accurate, so duly noted that her statements were not accurate.
Should I debate with you now?
You certainly can.
All right, you tell me.
Close the public portion. I'm gonna go pee.
All right, tell me what wasn't accurate. Sandra Solly, Birdsall Road, Farmingdale.
There were-
We do have protocol. We have to vote for her to go on. This has been going on for what, 15 minutes now? When we're,
Correct, I didn't interrupt. I was courteous to try to let the conversation draw to a close, but it has been 15 minutes on this subject.
Barbara didn't get interrupted either. So, now is Mr. Nacastro going to tell me what I was wrong about? Like alternate
don't fight with her.
facts?
Alternate fact,
facts.
well, you said there wasn't enough notice given on an ordinance. That's not accurately factual.
It wasn't an ordinance. Oh, wait a minute, are you talking about October 5th and 19th? Yeah.
I'm talking about an ordinance you talked about on West Farms that wasn't,
The paper said it wasn't timely advertised. That's all I know, it was thrown out.
I don't, that's not accurately correct.
Well, that was in the paper.
Okay, so you ask me and I'm telling you,
So
you're,
now you're telling me that the paper didn't report it
That's not,
properly.
if that's what the paper said, it was inaccurate.
All right, that's what they said.
yeah, I didn't read the paper, so.
I didn't either.
Oh, okay, that's my point, and please don't tell me I'm wrong after I've walked away. Tell me face to face, thank you.
It was noted by the clerk, so when she brought it to our attention, I had to make it part of the record.
That I was wrong,
Correct,
but the one that I read in the paper,
correct.
and there was no correction sent into the paper to correct their statement.
I did not read the paper, so I don't even know what the paper said.
I'm gonna call the press and ask them. Thank you.
Like the press is so accurate. Excuse me, everybody, that was rude, but true.
No offense,
But
Kelly.
accurate.
I would like to close the portion of the public meeting at this point. Thank you all for coming out.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a discussion item that I wanted to bring up. I think I brought it up too early. It was during the reports of the township officials. May I go into it now, or would you prefer that I wait? Okay. There was some, I'm sorry.
Can we go through the rest of the agenda?
That's what, my point is, you made a request. I don't think you understood what I was saying. You request for the subject matter to be put on for discussion, like at the next meeting. it
I
would be.
request that a discussion item be put on about donations to the Mackenzie House for the next meeting. Oh, for the meeting after that. I don't believe I'll be at the next meeting,
Okay.
please. Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you.
When is the next meeting?
Not at the 20th.
Okay.
Correct.
Can I continue? I would like someone to make a motion, please, to accept the consent agenda items.
What's that, 9A1? Through what?
9824,
9A1 through 24, and
26.
26 through 34? Do you want the 9B1s in there or no?
Yes, please.
No,
No, we-
1, 2, 3, and 4. Right.
Just 9B1, 2, 3, and 4?
No, not
Not
9B5 through.
Okay, 9-1 through 24, 9A 1 through 24, 9A 26 through 34, and 9B5 through 9B16. I make a motion to approve them.
Second.
All in favor?
No, I'm
Oh.
sorry, I'll take the roll call.
Nicely done.
Are you the clerk now, too? Give me a roll call, please, Ms. Wallen.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Give me a witness, yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am.
I got the witness.
Give me a witness.
9B, 1, 2, and 3.
Tommy,
Okay, I'd like to,
won't be at the next meeting, Tommy, I'll be at the therapist.
9B1, appointment to the Environmental Commission. I would like to make a motion to appoint a member, an alternate member. I would like to ask for a
Just
motion.
appoint.
No, that's your
No,
appointment.
That's your appointment.
You appoint who you
Oh, okay. No, I don't have an appointment this evening. Put it on for the next meeting, please.
table it.
So is there a motion for 9B2?
Were there any names?
For Farmers Advisory?
Right, there was only one
Right.
application.
What
So
was
does
the name?
is everybody
Yeah,
aware of
Elaine.
that?
What was the name?
Elaine Taylor.
I'll make a motion for Elaine Taylor to be
Second.
alternate.
Hang on. Okay, roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
And can you give the name for the mobile
Sure.
home?
The next item is 9B3, Mobile Home Rent Control Board, alternate park owner. Term expires 12/31/2017. Robert D. Ruiz.
Who's already served on it?
Make a motion to appoint Mr. Ruiz.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
And the next item is Shade Tree Commission, alternate one member, term expires 12/31/2018. The new application would be Carol Chandler. On file for the 2017 is Kyle Harris and Anthony D. Paci, P-A-C-I.
I'll make the motion for Ms. Chandler.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Can we put the other members, or the answer's no? I'm just asking the other people that apply, or is it limited to the amount of people?
There's only one slot
There's only one slot
open.
open. No, we don't have, Shade Tree has a specific number of.
Right.
Has a specific number of members?
Right.
Are we allowed to expand that amount? I'm just asking.
I think we have to amend
You'd
that
have
by,
to change the ordinance, I know that.
yeah,
But
by
I would have to
ordinance.
check the statute, because I don't know if there's anything that governs that statutorily. I know the environment.
There might be.
There's something, but I'll check.
Well, you'll get the applicant, two other members of, people from the citizens that don't want to be involved in that committee. I have no problem with it. They do a lot of good work.
And the more hands, the better.
Yeah. There's always some people that can't make it. It seems to be a committee that evolved through the years, but do a lot of good work, so.
And Penny, can you give us a report of what openings are still available? Because there's nothing wrong with reaching out to these people and asking them if they would consider going on
That's
to
it,
another
what's in
committee.
front of you.
Yeah, okay.
No,
That's
no,
it,
what-
that's it?
Right, that
Okay.
was it. I'll
So,
certainly double check, though.
No problem, thank you.
However, anyone can attend the meeting,
Correct.
so, should they reach out to you, or perhaps we could even drop a note that they're more than welcome to attend? I'm sure they know, but we wouldn't want anyone to think that we're turning them away.
I would love to add them
Correct.
to it, if we could. No wrong with that.
Well, she'll investigate.
That's good. Good, I don't know.
Okay, 11.1 is to amend Chapter 18 Code of Ethics and Conduct.
Motion to introduce ordinance number 0-17-1 on first reading by title in order the same be published in the 2/2/17 issue of the Tri-Town News, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title. And will be further considered for final passage at the public hearing of the meeting of the Township Council to be held on 2/21/17 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building.
All right, the public hearing, we're going to change that public meeting date, not
Yeah, 'cause
to
didn't we
Feb.
change it?
21. We are going to make that March 7.
I'd like to change the date of the meeting of the Township Council to be held on March 7th, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building. Isn't this how we always advertise ordinances, Ms. Woman?
I'm not certain of your question.
We always advertise it like this, right? We do a first reading and advertise them in the newspapers?
Correct.
Yes, by law, we have to do it that way.
Yes,
Just checking.
nothing's changed.
I make that motion.
Second?
Second.
I'm going to read the title of the ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, Monmouth County, New Jersey, creating a new Chapter 18 entitled Code of Ethics and Conduct to govern the solicitation of sealed proposals for professional services, contracts, and code of ethics. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes,
Mr. Walsh?
Yes,
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, but I would like if McKenna would please explain the change to the public.
This is sort of what I was speaking to before, is that all city elected officials are required to sign this code of ethics provision, and any member of the governing body that is running for council, such as we had 2 seats up this year, are required to do the same thing every year. You'll be required to sign it. We cannot, as a municipality, control what those running for office that are not yet sitting in office do. We can't say you have to do this because they're not yet a public official. They have state statutes that govern their behavior, what they can and can't do in terms of what they can accept. The elect laws control that. So we ran into this issue the last election period. So we're just cleaning up the language.
Okay, thank you.
But everybody that is a sitting governing, sitting member of the governing body and board members have to sign it and are provided copies of the chapter 18.
And I believe Estita was also cleaning up just some,
Those were all the purchasing laws, we're making them comply with the statutory provision.
Oh, you
Right.
want this one? Yeah. The next is to amend Chapter 2-35, to amend the 6-member Lake Restoration and Wildlife Committee to a 7-member and 3 alternate member for the Lake Restoration Committee. But before I introduce this, I would like to ask that this is a 5-year appointment, that we change the 5-year appointment to 2-year appointments?
I would just say that this request was made by the Lake Restoration Wildlife Committee. As the liaison, I would bring it back to them. They might have a different view on why they originally came up with the 5-year appointment. I don't know the history behind it.
It just seems much longer than all the rest of the committees.
it's a unique committee. I would advise if you can squeeze the time, if you sit in on some of their meetings and see what they do. They've saved us a fortune in money, they've saved land, they get out there and pull on their jeans and do the footwork, and
Well, it wouldn't mean that they couldn't come back on after 2 years. I'm just,
so why bother? This is the way they work, and,
a lot of them been on the
Worked
committee
fine.
for a long time.
right,
I understand.
Yeah, a lot of them have been there.
I prefer just to leave it the
Some
way
of,
it is.
I think the one had was there for 15, 20 years,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
well, actually, a couple of them, 2 of them, I believe, have been on since the inception of the committee.
So it had nothing to do with politics, it was just people trying to do the right thing,
Understood.
you know? That's all I'm saying. You may not know that someone has been on there that long.
Right. I just,
And they know the history, which sometimes is very beneficial to all of us when somebody's there who knows some of the history behind some of the decisions that were made 15, 20, 25 years ago. Howell's a pretty complex town, especially when it comes to its environment. And some of these people have been very beneficial to me personally. I think they've done a lot for Howell Township through the years, so. I'm good for whatever you want, but don't make a difference to me.
They're waiting to get their hands on you to take you for a tour of some of this stuff, so.
Yeah,
if you would bring it back, just ask.
yeah.
So we could introduce, and then for second reading, I'll have an answer.
Thank you.
But
Well, if you're going to change it, it would be a change, but
if I
whatever.
introduce, then if it changes it before second reading,
Let's just introduce it.
Reintroduce.
Well, we're introducing for the membership, not for the time that the members serve.
The term is that now.
So we, correct.
You should go sit with them and talk, Mayor.
okay.
I will.
Go chat with them and see what they have to say.
I will.
You know, they may say, you know what, maybe split it. I don't know what you could do by law. Like there's some that have a 2-year term, 4-year term. Maybe they have some ideas for you that may be helpful. Nobody ever posed that question before.
Okay.
Can motion to introduce ordinance number 0-17-2 on first reading by title, in order to be published in the 2/2/17 issue of the Tri-Town News. There were notice of introduction and passage of first reading by title, will be further considered for final passage of the public hearing. The meeting of the Township Council will be held on March 7, 2017, correct?
Correct.
At 7:30 PM prevailing time in municipal building.
Second.
What's the matter? Yes? Yes. Okay. I'm going to read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance amending Chapter 2-35 entitled Department of Community Development and Land Use of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell to amend the 6-member Lake Restoration and Wildlife Committee to a 7-member and 3 alternate Lake Restoration Committee. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Is there any unfinished business?
No.
Anyone from the council?
Tonight was a little bit better than last time, and next meeting will be better.
It wasn't as
Mayor,
hectic.
Mayor, as a side note, the regular meeting you have for the 21st that's on your agenda?
So this meeting on the 21st is canceled, and it would be on the 20th. Is that correct?
No, March 7th.
No,
You should do
your-
a
March
budget meeting
7th.
on the
Your
20th.
regular meeting's going to be February 7th and March 7th.
Because we're gonna do budget meetings, we're gonna have one on the 20th, we have one next week.
We have one January 30th,
For budget?
starting at 5 PM, budget.
Yeah.
And then we have one February 6th, starting at 6 PM.
Yeah.
And then February 20th, starting at 6 PM. Those 3 meetings are budget hearings. So the next council meeting is February 7th. And then after that would be March 7th. And I'm just saying that 'cause it's not on your,
Thank you.
And you may wanna add, so that everyone knows when the budget meetings are, if they'd like to come.
Well, absolutely.
and the budget meetings, again, for everyone's own edification, is January 30th, starting at 5 PM here. February 6th, starting at 6 PM at Town Hall. And February 20th, starting at 6 PM at Town Hall.
We'll put it on the website.
And February 21st, council meeting has been canceled. So the next meetings are February 7th and March 7th, starting at 6:30 executive, 7:30 regular session. This will be on our website
Yeah, we'll put it on the website tomorrow.
and on Channel 77 and posted,
Thank you.
and perhaps an email blast.
That's very energetic, enthusiastic.
I would like a motion to end the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
No, I wanna stay.
Okay, Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
You are not
Yes.
Well, you
staying.
go ahead and stay.
Thank you very much for your help this evening.
Well done.